Hello and welcome to Let's Talk with Bishop R.C. Blakes. R.C. is an author, empowerment teacher, and the proud pastor of the New Home Ministries of New Orleans, Louisiana and Houston, Texas. His message circles the globe. His conversational and candid approach to challenging content makes him a relevant voice to all generations. Get ready for a life-changing transformational conversation.
Well, I want to thank you for coming back again. This is our second day, and we're talking about my latest book, The Training for Reigning. And today we're looking at Chapter 2, Mastering the Art of Building Influence. Queens that are actually reigning. Master the art of building influence. The entire concept of reigning as a queen is centered on being a woman of influence. You know, if you have no influence, I think it's John Maxwell that says, you know, if you want to boil leadership down to one word, that word would be influence. If you're not influencing anybody, you're not really a leader, you're just kind of taking a walk. If you consider yourself a queen and you're not influencing anybody, if you have no influence, you're just sitting on a fancy chair, right? Now, common women who are not queen conscious tend to strive to be women of affluence, while queens strive for influence. Common women, when I say common, I don't mean it in a derogatory, demeaning way, but women that don't have this level of consciousness is really what I'm saying, think that the epitome of life, the pinnacle of womanhood is affluence, having money, having fame, having power, having, the greatest wardrobe, having the most eligible guy and all of these things, affluence. While queens understand that life, is about influence. Now, when a woman actualizes queen consciousness, influence is the natural result. When you see a queen that walks into a room, there's a woman of influence. Because when you actualize your queen consciousness, influence is the natural result. Queens are marked by the ability to influence environments positively. We can see this modeled in biblical and even in world history. When you think about a biblical queen by the name of Esther, well, Esther changed the fate of the Hebrew people in her kingdom because of her wise, courageous, and deliberate use of her influence. She wasn't just a pretty woman. She wasn't just a woman with a, crown on her head. Esther had influence and she knew how to use it. Now, there's this concept called the 7 mountains. I learned this some years ago. And these 7 mountains are, this concept breaks all of life in the world down to 7 spheres. And these 7 spheres are considered the 7 mountains on which society is built. And queen conscious women are showing up on all 7 mountains with great influence. And the first is business. Don't we see that? Women are some of the most prolific business people in the world today. The second is government. Isn't that interesting that You know, we're possibly on the brinks of seeing the first female president in the United States of America. The third mountain is media. The fourth is arts and entertainment. The fifth is education. The sixth is family. And the seventh is religion. And these 7 areas drive the culture and the economics or the economies of the world. And queens should be rising to the top of each of these mountains. But you have to be a woman of influence. Now, there are dimensions. There are dimensions of influence. And number one, the foundation of influence, if you're going to be a woman, if you're going to be an influential woman, not just an affluential woman, the foundation of influence is authenticity. To begin the process of constructing your influence as a woman, you must find your authentic mission, your authentic persona, and you must find your authentic voice to develop influence. If you're not on your real mission, and if you're not projecting your real persona, and if you're just a parrot, you don't really have your own voice, you will never really be a woman of influence. Because you can't be influential as a fraud or a copy of another. Wow. I thought I'd pause right there, let you just ponder what I just said. You can't be influential and a fraud at the same time. So let's look at this, your mission. Your mission speaks of your personal sense of passion and purpose. It's your why. If you're going to be influential, you must know your why. When we look back at Esther's life, she could influence a king because she knew her why. She was so sure of her why. When you read the biblical account, she said, I'm going to do this, and if I die, if I perish, let me perish. She was influential because she was certain about her mission. She knew her why. Now, the obvious question is, and we answer it in the book, how does a woman discover her influential why? Your organic frequency. Your why is inseparably linked to the things that organically flow from you. I call this your organic frequency. Your mission is not wrapped in something that does not come naturally to you. When you tap into your organic frequency and pay attention, the things that are purposeful will begin to reveal themselves. How does a woman discover her influential why? Your organic frequency. The next thing I list is counsel. You have to learn to hear. One of the biggest benefits of counsel is that it keeps you on track with purpose and eliminates futility from your agenda. The right counselors will help you to discern between ambition versus actual vision and mission. So it's your organic frequency, it's the counsel that you submit to. The second thing we said was not only is it your mission, but then we said your persona speaks of how you uniquely choose to present yourself or present yourself rather to society. Though it's your persona, it's the way you choose to present yourself to society. So many ladies undervalue the power of a strong presentation. You should make a statement long before you say a word, your persona. It's more than what you say, it's in how you present yourself to society. It's a part of it's the construction of your influence, your authenticity. It speaks of how you present yourself. It speaks of how you show up in the world, your mission, your persona. Notice if you look in Proverbs 31:22, it says of the virtuous woman, she maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Now, this is interesting because notice, I love the wording here. It says she made her own coverings. Every queen-conscious woman develops her own sense of style. This lady of Proverbs did not allow anyone to imprint on her persona. She understood that her presentation could open or close doors. So she chose to project her own persona onto the world. And then letter C, it speaks of your voice. When you start becoming a woman of influence, you're going to have your own voice. You can no longer be a parrot. You're going to have your own voice. I love this because every influential queen is first an authentic woman. Authenticity does not consider what is acceptable or popular. Authenticity is the soul giving birth to the higher version of one's self. You're going to have to find and you're going to have to use your own voice. You see, because it does not matter how good of a copy someone is, there is never a documentary done on a great impersonator. In fact, in some cases, it is criminal to impersonate. There's only value and recognition in your individual uniqueness. And the greatest, or should I say, one of the greatest impacts you can make upon the world as you build influence is to find and to use your own voice. When you think about influencers, influencers stand out because of their differences. You're not trying to be or sound like everybody else. You're trying to show up as your unique self. Now, let's look at this, the power of a queen's influence. In Numbers 27, verses 2 through 7, we see the record of some sisters whose father died. I'll read it. Numbers 27, 2 through 7 says, "And they stood before Moses and before Eleazar, the priest, and before the chiefs, and all the congregation at the entrance of the tent of meeting, saying, Our father died in the wilderness. He was not among the company of those who gathered themselves together against the land in the company of Korah, but died for his own sin. And he had no sons. Why should the name of our father be taken away from his clan because he had no son? Give to us a possession among our father's brothers." Moses brought their case before the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, "The daughters of Zelophehad are right. You shall give them possession of an inheritance among their father's brothers, and transfer the inheritance of their father to them." Now, these ladies, when you read the full story, changed laws for generations to come because of their influence. They had influence because they used their voice. They said, because the rule was if a man didn't have sons, all of his belongings would, go back into the tribes or back into the nation, I suppose, and daughters couldn't inherit. These girls said, man, we ain't standing for that. So they went and talked to Moses and said, why should our father's stuff not come to us? And Moses brought it before the Lord, and God said, these girls are right. What if they did not use their own voice? If they did not use their voice, they would not have enforced their influence. And if they did not enforce their influence, they would have gone without what they deserved. Now, there's a price. Let's talk about the price of authenticity. Letter A, they came to terms with what they truly desired. They came to terms with what they truly desired. Settling for what the world offers is not authenticity. There are many of you that are watching me now, and you're settling. You're trying to make excuses, and you're trying to say, oh, I'm really happy with this, when you're really not. You know you deserve more than this, but you're afraid to use your voice and to say so. Well, you can't be influential where you won't use your voice and speak your truth. Authenticity does not consider norms or rules. It fights for its purest expression. So they came, the price of authenticity, they came to terms with what they truly desired and deserved. Letter B, they collectively concluded that they deserved their desires. You deserve what you desire, but you know what? You have to conclude that. Before you can influence the world around you, you have to understand that you deserve everything you're reaching for and everything you're asking for. A woman that believes she deserves the best life has to offer becomes a magnetic force to other people. She is a woman that cannot be resisted. The woman must force her soul to have the audacity to accept a new reality. I know it's always been like this, and this has always been the norm, and this is what women have always settled for. But when you come to a place where you can collectively conclude that you deserve what you desire, you become a magnetic force for better. Letter C, these ladies were courageous enough to risk being disapproved of. Chances were more likely that they would be rebuked and sent back home with nothing, but they were courageous enough to run the risk of being disapproved of. Sometimes you're so afraid of being disapproved of, you fall short of what you deserve. You can't be a woman of influence, mastering the art of building influence, if you don't get beyond the fear of being disapproved of. And then letter D, they articulated their internal position to the powers that were. They went straight to Moses and said, hey, this is what we believe we deserve, and this is what we want. Now, the second sphere of influence is innovation. The first was the foundation. The foundation of influence is authenticity. The second sphere is innovation. Influencers solve problems with inventive methods. Queens always solve the problems that average women shy away from. Right? Because you're going to be as influential as you are innovative. If you're like everybody else, you're not going to be that influential. It's when we divorce ourselves from change that we cancel destiny. Destiny will never arrive in last year's model. You're going to have to innovate. You know, the thing that makes you different is the thing that makes you spectacular. The third sphere of influence is excellence. Excellence. Excellence is not perfection. Excellence is giving your vocation, your mission, your assignment, your very best effort at every level. That's excellence. Excellence is a seed sown, while success is the fruit grown. Excellence establishes value, and excellence demands price. You see, when you operate with a spirit of excellence, you don't even have to sell yourself. Excellence will sell you. Everybody wants the best. And when you operate at your highest level, somebody's going to recognize and appreciate, come on somebody. The fourth sphere of influence is access. You cannot influence where you refuse to show up. You can't hide out in your house or in your office or behind a cold demeanor and then wonder why the world is not beating your door down for the thing you offer, even though you are the best. You're going to have to create lines of access. It was in December of 2021. I think it was my first speaking engagement since 2019, after the world had been shut down, churches shut down, and outside of church, this was like the first speaking engagement I think Lisa and I went to, and it was at the Women Doing It Big conference. I think it was in Newark, New Jersey, with Tiana Von Johnson, one of our spiritual daughters. It was on a Friday night, and I was doing a book signing. We're talking about how you can't influence where you won't allow access. I was signing books and taking pictures, as well as, just having brief conversations between all of that activity. And one of our spiritual daughters who lives in the area actually, and came to help out with the book table, she was standing there, stood there for about 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours. And when the line got a little slower, she leaned over to me and she says, "How do you do this?" And I'm looking at her and she's like, "How do you sign books and talk and hug and take pictures? You're an introvert." And I looked at her and I said, "I am an introvert by nature. I am an introvert, but I'm an extrovert by necessity. My personal idiosyncrasies must never interfere with the greater mission of my life. I cannot influence people who I can't give access to." And I know that this speaks to a lot of you, because you cannot influence a world that you never give access to. Let me just give you this quickly and then I'm done. Strategy to live an accessible life. Letter A, develop an accessible personality. People have to feel comfortable coming up speaking to you. Don't have a steel demeanor. You have your business demeanor. Well, don't carry your business demeanor into a situation where you have fans or you have clients that, may be thinking about utilizing your services or whatever. The stuff the demeanor you had in the boardroom when you was getting them straight is not the one you carry out into the mixer. You got to have an accessible personality. Letter B, execute an intentional public relations campaign. Reach out and a handshake is probably one of the greatest public relations campaigns, a handshake and a smile. And then letter C, find a reachable position in the marketplace. Be a woman of influence on all levels. So now my prayer is that you've gotten something out of my discussion. I did not intend to talk that long, but don't forget to go by rcblakesstore.com and purchase Training for Reigning. You can also go to Amazon and pick this book up. And just know that R.C. Blake says, you are queen. God bless you. Until next time.
We here at RC Blakes Ministries want to thank you for spending this time with us today. RC and Lisa are always honored to have you with us. Don't forget to reach out to us by visiting our website at www.rcblakes.com. While you're there, you may join our mailing list and receive a free download of The Laws of Manifesting Your Vision by R.C. Blakes. Also look at all of the online programs by R.C. You may find all books written by R.C. and Lisa. Once again, all of us here at R.C. Blakes Ministries want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And as we always say, see you at the top. Have you ever wondered what it'll be like to be mentored and taught by RC and Lisa? To be a part of an exclusive group with opportunities to ask questions to RC directly? There is a program called MORDECAI Mission. It may be the opportunity you're looking for. MORDECAI is a 12-week program conducted on Zoom by RC and Lisa. The program is named MORDECAI because it was Mordecai who mentored Esther into her reign as queen. RC has been called the King of Queens. His passion for empowering women is like that of Mordecai. The program is for women seeking spiritual and emotional healing as well as a sense of purpose and a return to self-love. It's biblically based and spiritually empowered. It is roughly an hour of teaching done by RC. It then moves into Q&A. The program is based on 3 pillars. 1. Inner healing. 2. Self-discovery. And 3. Self-development. The program runs for 12 weeks straight. Meetings are at the same time every weekend. The meetings are about 90 minutes to 2 hours. To be a part of the next group, go to www.rcblakes.com and register. Seats are limited. Pray about it, and if you feel a witness in your heart, don't procrastinate. Go ahead and register.